Number one Ibble Dibble here. Hello, friends. Welcome to the third and final part of Ibble Dibble Trashes. Good wife, good mom, bad mom with Meghan. I realize I'm going a bit out of order. Finishing my review of this episode was interrupted by reviewing the next because Meghan talks shit faster than I can wade through it. To bring you up to speed, in this episode, Meghan complains about how hard marriage is 5 times, complains about how tough motherhood is 10 times, complains about wife or mommy shaming or unfair expectations 15 times, but those are only the times she explicitly states these complaints. Being Meghan, she also makes her point through poetry readings and playing very carefully chosen sound bites from her guests' work to strongly suggest they agree with her when they very well may not. I mean, goddamn, the episode is only 47 minutes long, including the credits. That is a complaint every 90 seconds. That's Meghan's MO. She doesn't ask guests if they've been wife or mommy shamed. She supposes they have, poses questions with this false premise, and leaves it in their hands to acknowledge or ignore, validate or deny, which is so unfair. It puts them in an incredibly awkward position, manners-wise, and it makes it easier to change the meaning of what they say in post, in the editing. I think I've figured out Meghan's archetype. Meghan is the archetypical asshole. So the remaining guests are Pamela Adlon, Angela Garbes, and Sam J. Meghan chats with Pamela for more than half of the remaining time and manages to say nothing. It's actually quite remarkable.
You're literally learning as you go. And then, just understanding, how do you do it? Like, I'd want to knock on other moms' doors when they were making breakfast before school. Like, how is it in your home? Like, is it crazy like it is in my home? Like, that morning rush, like, that's what I call it.
Oh, no. The mornings are, I mean, how old are your kids?
I know.
Well, so the morning rush, I'm sure it'll only get more chaotic as they get older. But for me, it's, both monitors on for the kids to hear them, always up with Lily, get her downstairs. Yeah. Then a half hour later, Archie's up, start doing his lunchbox right before he's up while I have her, getting her a little nibble. My husband's helping me get him downstairs, and I make breakfast for all 3 of them. It's very important to me. I love doing it.
That's so sweet.
And it just, to me, feels like the greatest way to start the morning. And then it's like, feed all 3 of the dogs, because we just got another dog, and then get Archie out the door to school. And,
This is the conversation you have with a mom you don't know while you're waiting for your kids to take off their cleats and you're on the phone with someone else. How did this make it to air? In their 30 minutes of merciless school pickup chatter, Pamela offers Meghan a single pearl of wisdom.
When I run my set and run a crew, it's because I run it like a mom.
Meghan, who is of course infamous for bullying her employees, just reacts with another,
okay. I love that. That's so good. And still, why is it still so judgmental and hard out there? And why is it there's like this expectation for it to look so easy for some, just so put together?
Yeah.
Like the asshole she is. This is very similar to her reaction to Issa Rae saying we should care for our elders.
And it's just incredible. And her family still lives with her. They take care of her. They visit her. And that's like the kind of history that neighborhood has.
Oh, it's great. I just remember anytime we go to that part of town where my mom now lives, it's like, pink boxes. Let's get a bean pie.
This must be why King Charles calls her tungsten. One little thing Pamela and Meghan have in common is that they both took the UK citizenship test.
My grandmother, she worked in a factory when she was 11 years old. And she was English, and she grew up during the turn of the century. Oh, that's another thing we have in common, the English people thing.
Yes, I heard you just got your citizenship. Was it last year? A couple years ago.
I did a couple years ago.
That citizenship exam is so hard. I was studying for it, and I remember going, oh my goodness, I would ask my husband, did you know this? Did you know this? And people went, oh, I had no idea.
I think they made it harder for you.
You think?
Yeah, they were like, We're gonna really throw up walls on this one.
So is it really that hard? I thought I would be your guinea pig because I am Meghan's age. Like her, I received an entirely private and expensive American education. And also, like her, I lived in the UK, albeit briefly. I spent a year at boarding school when I was 14, which, by the way, was really not very different at all from American boarding schools, except the level of field hockey was much higher. And another term as an undergrad at St. Hilda's. On the other hand, that was all a very long time ago, and I don't have a British husband to give me fast answers to easy questions. The rules are you have 45 minutes to answer 24 multiple choice questions. You must get 18 right to pass. You can take the test once a week, as many times as you need to until you pass. The stakes are not high. The test is based on this book, Life in the United Kingdom, the official guide for new residents. There is an official study guide book, an official practice questions and answers book, an e-learning subscription, the 3-book pack, but I'm going to take this test with absolutely zero preparation, never having seen any of the prep materials. I don't have any qualifications in British history, government, or the English language. I'm just taking this test as an American rube, like Meghan. Let's see if we can find a good practice test. So the clock is up. 44:55. Which 2 countries are members of the Commonwealth? Canada and Australia. Which of the following statements is correct? On becoming a UK citizen or permanent resident, you can choose which laws and responsibilities you want to accept. Clearly not. Obviously, you have to respect the law like everyone else. The daffodil is the national flower of Wales. I thought it was a leek. Am I crazy? It's a leek? Oh, it's true. Learning. I won't bore you with the rest of it, especially you Brits, but my very first try, in 6 minutes with zero studying, I got 20 out of 24 questions correct. Thinking it was a fluke and having planned to devote an hour or so to taking and thinking about the 45-minute test anyway, I decided to take as many as I could in my remaining time and average my results. In 1 hour, I was able to take 6 sample tests. First, I took 3 tests from this official test prep website. Then I branched out and took the tests published by CNN, The Daily Record, and The Guardian. I averaged a score of 19.5 in 8.67 minutes and did not fail a single test. Much of it is pretty basic history. For example, at the beginning of the 19th century, who had the right to vote? I'm going to say only men over 21 with a certain amount of property. Is that right? Yes. Or very basic geography and culture, for example. What countries does Great Britain refer to? England, Scotland, and Wales. Come on. Which is a fundamental principle of British life? Oh, this one is funny. They've got jokes. Eating fish on Friday, actively supporting your local football team, ignoring your neighbors, or participation in community life. Fairly or unfairly, at least when I was a kid, history was taught to children in the US from an Anglo perspective. So British history prior to 1776, in particular English history, was taught as our shared history rather than native Spanish, French, German, Dutch, Swedish, or any other predominant ancestral groups of colonists in the various regions that would eventually become the United States. Every single American kid knows who William the Conqueror, Winston Churchill, and Queen Elizabeth were. The only kind of problems that tripped me up on this test were government and administrative type questions. For example, what percentage of the UK population lives in Northern Ireland? No idea. It's got to be small. But these are all so small. I'm going with 7%. Is 7% too high? 5%? 5%. Total guess. Ooh, 3%. Burn. How often does Prime Minister's questions occur when Parliament is sitting? I don't know. I'm going with once a month. Nope. There were also the occasional questions about the Church of England or popular sports that threw me for a loop because I did not grow up religious, and when I was a kid, I did ballet. When is St. David's Day? Oh, I don't know what that is. 17th of March. 17th of March. Let's scroll to the answer. Oh, March 1st. Oops. In everyday language, people may say rain stopped play. With which sport is this phrase associated? Oh, I don't know. We're just going to go with football. Nope, burn. But these types of questions were such a small proportion of the test relative to British history and common sense that I can't imagine Meghan or any other American, especially
Smart one forever and ever and ever and ever.
would have to study for more than a single 8-hour workday to ace this. We know Harry is thick as a plank, but I still believe she was insulting him by claiming he'd have trouble with this test. I actually think this is yet another example of her narcissistic tendencies. She thinks she's smarter than everyone else, and therefore the only way she can relate to us imbeciles is by pretending she's as stupid as she thinks we are. Pamela Adlon is way too agreeable, way too intuitive, and she handled Meghan way too graciously by making a joke out of it she knew would appeal to Meghan's sense of victimhood. Unfortunately, she did it at the expense of the British people, and that is not cool. I wish she had said, "Oh, I didn't think it was that hard. Anyway, I was okay with trying a couple weeks in a row." The rest of the episode is just more boring word salad. Angela Garbes gets exactly 1 minute and 14 seconds to present the thesis of her book, which is that women were relegated to homemaking as a function of capitalism. Now, if you look beyond Western societies, that is certainly a matter for debate. But of course, Meghan did zero prep for this interview. I doubt she even read Angela's book, and she's not cultured in the slightest. So she didn't even respond to this explanation, forget discuss it. Black lesbian comedian Sam J comes on to tell us that her relationship is like any other relationship, except nobody has hands big enough to open those annoying spaghetti jars. Pamela briefly touches on something actually personal, menopause, and Meghan is just so lacking in empathy. She doesn't even respond. She just uses it as yet another opportunity to plug every single one of her dumb buzzwords.
You don't want to talk about, the fact that it hurts to have sex, or you've got to take this kind of medicine to make your vagina feel like a person again, or whatever the thing is.
Then the only way to break through that is to do what you do, which is to create zeitgeist moments through your content, to create cultural conversations that move the needle.
And that's it. What's a good wife? What's a good mom? How can we be better wives? How can we be better moms? Should we be better wives? Should we be better moms? I guess we'll never know. The only question that was answered today is, can a total asshole pass the Brit-Sit test? Yes, unfortunately. They need to up their game. I suggest in future, every time a British royal would like to marry, they call in Dr. Curry from the Johnny Depp trial to administer the relevant psychiatric tests. What do you think? Hope you all have a lovely weekend. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Toodaloo!